I find we're imperfect beings, right? We're striving to always be perfection, but notice that we're always going to fail. And that's part of our design, I think, at this point. Yeah, we were designed to be perfect beings, live with God, live with ways. But since our fall from grace, we're imperfect. And it's always our strive to be perfect. But you should take some solace in that. Like, know that we are imperfect, like, and that's okay. Actually, like, it's almost like accepting yourself and knowing that, again, I'm always about pushing your boundary, trying to make yourself better. I don't want you sitting back saying, well, screw this, I'm never going to be perfect and never trying. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, you're okay to make mistakes and learn from them and build on that. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be imperfect in that kind of sense and like striving for perfection. And that's what makes us perfectly imperfect.
All right. And in what ways do societal expectations contribute to this idea of
being perfect all the time?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. In what ways do you see it in your life?
Oh my God. Instagram picture back. How many, do you take selfies?
Only for myself. Like if I'm like sending something to my family at a location, but never to post on IG though.
Yeah. Well, like, for us, I don't do a lot either. Like we do it for the business here, but you've seen how it's affected like young girls stuff too. They'll take like 100 pictures and maybe post one because everything has to be perfect. And then they have filters and then they do this and everything has to be, and then he's perfect in every aspect of it before they even post. And if they don't get enough likes, they take it down. And it's just, I'm just using that as one example.
Yeah.
But then even how they portray themselves on social media, like, oh, we have to have a perfect relationship and have to have a perfect dog and have to have a perfect son and everything needs to be perfect. And it's like, that's not real life. Like, I think the saying was going, for those couples you think have a perfect relationship probably have the worst, like on social media, probably have the worst relationship, so it's become so fake, like you're always worried about other people think and say of you as opposed to actually worry about what's happening right in front of you.
Yeah. There's even that one Drake song, right? He talks about how there's that one girl who's always looking as if she's on the go. So she's always in Italy, she's in Spain, she's in Morocco. She's like living this perfect life, but you never know, like she might be in credit card debt, just like to finance all those different things. So we're like living double lives in a majority.
Or the other side is like, we know other ones that date a lot of older men just to get those things.
DC, they go to Dubai.
Yeah.
They go to Dubai.
And then you have a hollow, shallow life. And it's like, sure, like, listen, at the end of the day, like you're basically selling your body to go on yachts and trips like that too. Like, is that perfect? Is that the life you want to do? Like, to me, that is, that's not a life to live.
So let's look at you, right? Perfectly.
Why?
This is the DC talks, man.
Yeah, I know.
So share your experiences with the perfectly imperfect in terms of, let's say, your career, being a realtor.
We fail all the time.
All realtors fail all the time.
All the time. And then, like, for example,
like, a lot of real estate too.
Yeah, like this.
You
like,
seem perfect.
I remember seeing just remember back in the day, like not even back that far long ago, when there was multiple offers on a home. And I'm using this one example, and it's like, well, like you agents must love this. I'm like, I went on an offer presentation. There was 63 other offers, right? You failed that night. Only one person's winning. So 62 of us had to put our tail between our legs and fail on it, try to figure out what to do the next time, right? It would just, and other people are like, oh, you must love this market. We hated that market because some of us couldn't feed our families because of that. So it's like the perception of like, oh, the market's great, you must love this, and like it's a perfect world. I'm like, no, it was terrible, But failing in the sense in our real estate too, it'd be like, yeah, like not getting a deal or losing a client and then learning from it. It's like, okay, like why did I lose this client? What did I not do? And like, there's still times over here you're like, talk like, is there something I could have done differently? It's also open up communications. Every time we fail, like again, that goes from like not winning a bid on a house or losing a listing presentation. Remember we talked about what a listing presentation is? Yeah. Yep. So a bunch of realtors line up basically and they give their listing presentation and only one of them gets to list the home. So if you don't win on that, I'm like, well, what did I lose on that? And you try to get some positive feedback. It doesn't happen as often to me anymore, but it still happens, and it's like, okay, there's certain things I could change from it. That's perfectly imperfect. Like I'm not perfect. I'm not going to get 100% of the listings I go up for. I'm not going to get 100% of the buyers. It's just, when I put an offer in a house, I'm not going to get it 100% of the time. You have to work at it. You have to hone your skills. What does it work on both sides? So yeah. And then with parenting, fuck, there's no parents out there. There's no like, there's no guidebook. Like,
you gotta learn on the go.
Oh yeah, things change so rapidly. Like, and growing up with girls too. Like, my family was boys, right?
Boys, yeah, you and your
so
brothers.
Natalie has to teach me stuff about girls all the time.
Mhm.
Can't say that to your daughters. Say what? I'm like the things that we would say to our brothers and stuff too. And it's like, well, females take that a little more hard. You know, like when we're trying to be direct at certain things, and Natalie's like, you can't say that stuff. I'm like what? Or if I'm like trying to hug my daughters and they say, no, stop. And I'm just thinking it's a joke. She's like, no, you have to actually stop. And I'm like, what do you like? We're just joking around. It's like, I'm there to comfort them. Like, they have to realize that no means no. And then when it comes, you don't want to get them in a situation where they're with, if something ever happens, God forbid,
yeah,
you know, that they want to make sure that no means no. They know that the person's going to stop. And if they don't, then it's rape. You know what I mean? Like those kind of awkward situations. Never have to think about that stuff, you know, like learning all the time, you know, like you're perfectly imperfect. You're going to fail, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Stop beating yourself up for not being perfect. Right.
Yeah.
But also don't be perfectly imperfect. Don't be perfectly failing all the time just to say like, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, try not to be like, just fail just to fail.
Use this as a crutch of like, oh yeah, I'm imperfect, so I can fail. Like knowingly, it's like you're pleading ignorance to something that you already know that you shouldn't be doing. Like, hey, I made that mistake before, but doesn't mean just because I know I'm imperfect, that means I should knowingly be okay with making that mistake again. Like
I dated a girl in university, and when me and Natalie were dating beforehand, like we were competitive. We sports, cards, we're still competitive. Even like, you know, we played board game with our kids last night. And it was funny because I remember if I was winning, she would just give up. And I'm like, oh, she's like, well, you're going to beat me anyway. And I was like,
this is not saying that?
No, this is the girl I dated. And I was like,
oh, okay.
That's why I knew it was going to work out. You know, I'm like, no, you gotta try, fight. You gotta fight, you gotta try. Like, it just, of course I'm bigger and stronger than you, but it doesn't mean like you just give up.
Yeah.
How are you going to win anyway?
Yeah.
What kind of attitude is that?
That defeatist mindset.
Oh, yeah.
It gives, you know how girls these days say they give me things guys do give me the ick. Have you heard that?
No.
So
I think
there's a trend. There's a trend going now, like things that give girls the ick. So for example, like an ick is, let's say you and I playing beer pong, and the ball falls on the ground, and you know how a ping pong ball is like very uncontrollable. It's you know, it's not predictable. You don't know where it's going to bounce or whatever. Yeah. So a guy like chasing the ping pong ball around, and then, you know, they're kind of bending over, you kind of see their ass crack. It gives the girls the ick, right? So
that's a long explanation. You could have just had a plumber going to fix a crack and then you see his crack.
No, but just the idea of you chasing the ping pong ball around. Oh, okay. It's just like, what are you doing? Just relax. You don't have to chase it. Another ick I saw was this girl who says, you know, when a guy wakes up and he looks confused, right? So when you wake up, you're like, what? Where am I? She was saying as a guy, you should be waking up with a purpose, a mission. You're like, you know where you're at.
Wow.
Where you should be going, but you should not be waking up confused.
Wow.
Like, apparently that is womanly.
Not knowing where you are?
Not knowing, like waking up and like being confused. And like still.
Women wake up confused?
So they want you to wake up.
Be careful,
them.
Man. I don't know about that.
They want you to wake up next to them. As if
you're reassuring them that it's like, you know where you are and your purpose in life and you're safe.
Yeah, it's just kind of like you wake up, you stand up, like you're not disoriented when you wake up. Apparently, if you wake up disoriented, that's a very womanly trait.
Never heard of that.
So that gives them the ick.
Okay.
So for you, the ick here, DC, is like the chick was not being competitive.
Oh,
so it kind of like turned you off.
Yeah.
You know, the ick for me is like when I shake someone's hand and I feel like
the limp hand.
The limp hand.
Yeah. Like, and the wrist.
Yeah.
But for Natalie too, I remember like that's just like that's women. So I just even a women when they do that, it's like, oh, they like the wrist is broken, or like, oh,
get that away from me.
It gives you like the ick, like I guess the ickiness throughout your whole body. It's like it chills. Yeah, like
I think sometimes too it's cultural, because I think even with in the Islamic culture, you know, the women are supposed to be very, you know, extra conservative. So even if like I'm with my husband and I'm shaking another man's hand, I have to just hold it just for a second so I don't give him any ideas that I'm doing. So I get that.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
There's no excuse to the dude doing that.
Yeah, like
guys, if you haven't figured out a handshake, I don't care what sexual orientation you are, it has nothing to do with that. It's weak. Yeah, you're sending the wrong signal to guys. I don't care. You're pansexual. I don't care if you're bisexual. I don't care what the hell you are. If you're a guy, I don't care what orientation, what pronouns, or whatever say to. learn to shake a hand.